Hello everyone, welcome back to Home and Fun. I'm Yale, and yes, today you got some news and amazing ones that I upload to the channel, and those are, yes, I move on and do everything. For the moment, I'm gonna be uploading the last project that I had saved on my computer and edited to you. It's going to be the Black Templars, the newest army that came out from Games Workshop production line, and let me tell you, they come in a hardcore style. As you can see, I actually picked two miniatures from them. One of them is going to be the Marshal and the other one is going to be the Emperor's Champion. Also, I always do some job by taking the heads out and use them as beads, but in this style here I'm gonna be taking the original known helmeted one of the head and use it to my Marshal, because remember, as a Space Marines, they have these kinds of way of not showing their faces. The brushes that I'm gonna be using the entire of this video, they are not even expensive, neither cheap. They are between the normal quality of brushes that you can use to this day. Now, as always, before I move on to my projects, this was one of my biggest projects that I wanted to do, and yes, what I did is making a sketchbook of the sword for both miniatures. The first is going to be the Emperor's Champion. What I did is actually draw the sword and give ideas to myself on what parts they should be looking amazing, because I'm a person who likes swords, and let me tell you, the better the sword looks like, the better the miniature it is. So I did all write on all the parts and separate them as long as they kept up my standings when I paint them on. Now that's covered up, I started painting the miniature itself. First, I already added the primer that is going to be the black, and always got a primer of white over the remaining areas, because you want to go and highlight those areas that are going to be standing when you do the layering. One of the things I mention as always is that you start with your base coats first, then if you have any bad mistakes, you can do all those bad mistakes, fix them to the end of your finishing product. For example, when you're going to add the details to the part like layering, highlighting, shadowing, and even the best, washing your miniatures. When that moments happen, you're gonna be actually do the retouch over the areas that you have done by mistake. So here I already go ahead and do the white as one of the biggest enemies of the colors around the globe. The white's going to be your most hardest color to be fusioning over any work that you have, because the white color is really a hard color to master. So first, always do not over exaggerate the color by adding all of the paint into one solid section, because with that you will be clogging the details of that miniature. Moving on of that work, I go straight to painting the swords, and the metallic parts are going to be the silver parts over the miniature. For example, the chains, the container of the belt pocket that carries each of the miniatures, and even the other part are, for example, the backpack, and yes, the parts that are going to be the weapons holster, that are going to be the weapons, and the bolter of the combi flame bolter from the Marshal itself. You're gonna be using the silver color over that. After that it's done, I started go ahead and begin to paint the robes and also the skeleton part on the Marshal in the back. Remember that to paint those colors, you're gonna be to use like a color tone of the same from an old bone style, for example, because you're gonna be needing to give that style, and also because I love that old style of giving the old robes of a crusader or a warrior that has a sword with an old style looking of clothes, because it will actually give them a kind of look that they were soldiers back in those days making a crusade, and yes, the Black Templars are still doing that. Another thing that I go straight ahead is that remember to paint the bells. For I always start with a base coating of a light brown, then it's going from the lightest to the darkest, because with that will give after a finishing look would give like an old style ragged of the cloth on the belt, and also remember in the parts of the pouch, because you're gonna need to make them look like they were old and they were in possession of all like persons that they have been using, like in possession of them or using in a long time. So remember to give that style, because for me it always looks amazing like that. Applying to the latest part, there is going to be another thing. We're going to be applying red, and for that I'm going to be applying the red over the parts that are going to be the bolter and the handlers of the swords. For me it's going to be giving like a more kind of style. And well, as many of you will see, the Templars, they have the iconic style of having their weapons colored in red and the metallic parts as an old style looking weapon of the 30k millennia. So remember, for me, I always go ahead and step closer to that part. Before even going straight to the parts that are going to be gold, I always like to give the parts that are going to be gold a yellow color, because as always I mentioned, giving a base coat of like a brighter color or a base color that was present on the color itself, that is going to be the secondary or tertiary, remember to give it like a primary color, so it will be looking like a real old gold style. For myself, by using the yellow gold brown from Vallejo's game color, I always apply on those gold parts so they can be looking as Retributor armor style from the Citadel colors. After I apply the base coat, then I do just not air like dry brushing, I apply a decent amount of metal paint that is going to be the gold over that area. And as I mentioned, I'm right now applying the gold metallic color over those yellow parts, because remember what I said, if you want to have like all looking like Retribution style with the washes that you apply over the miniatures, you're gonna be using as a basic color always the most darkest to go to the lightest. And if you're going to be giving like an old rock style, then you're gonna be needing to go to the lightest to the darkest. Okay, as always I mention this about, I always enjoy mention it all as tips to you so you can follow, if you want to follow them through the times when you do your miniatures that kind of style looking. Well, this part guys, it's just basically only applying washes. I do apply washes all over the miniatures, and yes, I'm using the sepia wash to apply over the metallic part so I can have that old looking style of Retributor armor style. So remember, I always apply enough amount of wash. Do not apply too much, because if you apply too much wash over those areas, you're gonna be clogging the details and the miniature will be have an end look bad. And then look so bad that you will not like the miniature how it turned out with the wash. Let's not forget our little friend, the head of the Marshal. As good persons, we're not leave that little head unattended. So we're gonna be ending and giving that look to the skin tone, and also the parts are going to be the neck back and the front, and also the little tiara that he has in his head, the aureola in his head. Finally, we're going to go close to an end. I'm giving the final touches to the miniature. As I mentioned, you can see the miniature is nearly complete. It's finally completed. The only parts that I'm left to do are the bases and also the customizations over the bases, and magnetize them so they can be not being hanging out by moving themselves and then ruining themselves after, even if I apply a matte coat over them. You want those miniatures to be have an end perfectly. Mentioning as always, begin always with your base coat and go from there to the top. Do not overstep your ladders of going from the bottom to the top. Remember to follow them up as close as you go by. Remember that you are slowly growing your intellectual mind on the miniature painting. You're not going straight from being the most dumbest or stupid person to the most intelligent in one day to the other. Remember that it's going to be like a slowly road walking for you, because you're gonna need to learn a lot of stuff. So guys, as always, I'm thank you for all your backups and help to the channel, and always by subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for those subscribers that are giving those thumbs up and always commenting, giving good opinions over the videos that I upload. Guys, I hope that you enjoy, and I will see you and leave you with the finishing products of the Marshall and the Emperor's Champion.